Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the April 1st, 2019 meeting of the Milford Board of Aldermen. Please join me as we salute our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Secretary, will you please take the roll?
Alderman Anderson. Alderman Beatty. Alderman Fortunati.
Here.
Alderman Gaynor. Here. Alderman Gurman. Here. Alderman Genentasio. Here. Alderman Golden.
Here.
Alderman Grant.
Here.
Alderman Herdeman. Here. Alderman Smith. Here. Alderman Sutton.
Here.
Alderman Tranquilli. Here. Alderman Veccarelli.
Here.
Alderman Vitro.
Here.
Alderman Vitale.
Here.
14.
We have 14. We do have a quorum. At this time, the mayor has a presentation. Good evening, Mr. Mayor.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, members of the board, Mr. Chairman. Happy April Fools. Tonight is no joking matter. Tonight we have a very special presentation by one of Milford's fine Eagle Scout candidates to be, Marco, who is going to present his story walk. I know that we do have several of the other people that have been cheerleading this project along the way. I saw Chris Angeli, our library director, who is intimately involved in this project and has been one of its strongest champions, as well as some other folks from our community. This is something that I think really is going to set the tone for this portion of the park, and I think I will turn this over now to Marco, who is going to tell us a little bit about what he has in mind for his Eagle Scout project.
If you don't mind me. Thank you. So, hi. My name is Marco Buschauer, and I'm a Life Scout of Troop 1 here in Milford. I am here to request your support for my Eagle Scout project named Story Walk. I've been working on my Eagle Scout project since August, and so far I've raised over $6,400 towards my goal of $8,000. Since I was 4 years old, I have loved to read, and I still love it to this very day. For my Eagle Scout project, I wanted to do something that would allow me to share my love for reading with the city I've lived in for the past 14 years of my life. So, researchers have found that reading increases the average student score in Common Core testing by up to 90% above the average peer, if they would only just read 20 minutes a day, as you can see in the statistics on either side of me. Secondly, I wanted to incorporate exercise into my Eagle Scout project because of my experience in scouting. Ever since I was a tiny kid, I have been a part of Scouts, and I have loved every single part of it, but especially the outdoors and the camping. Kids of my generation spend less than 4 hours a week outside, and experts believe that they should spend 3 hours outside each day. The lack of being outside in a natural environment, as experts say, is having a big impact on the upcoming generation. And Story Walk will help the kids of Milford spend more time outside. So, you may be wondering, what is a story walk? Well, Story Walk is an inspirational idea that combines literature with exercise. The idea was started in Vermont by Anne Ferguson and has since spread across the country to every single state and 12 other countries in the world. Story Walk was created for both kids and adults alike, by displaying books, usually for children, along a path. It promotes literacy and exercise young children and encourages families to spend time together. Eisenhower Park has become the center of Milford's recreation, with its brand new splash pads, the new redone tennis courts, the new pickleball courts, Bodie's Place, and of course the new dog park. Adding Storywalk and its 33 signs to Eisenhower Park will allow families to incorporate literature to their visits. The Milford Public Library has also agreed to change the pages of the signs quarterly and maintain the powder-coated aluminum signs for years to come. The director of the Milford Public Library, Ms. Christine Anielli, has been a great support to me throughout this entire project and my mentor. The Park and Recreation Commission, of which I have met with before, has approved the project for installation in Eisenhower Park, and the Public Works Department, which I met again with recently, has been helpful with the planning for the installation. And of course, many corporations and citizens of Milford, which I would not be able to do without the project, by donating money towards this cause. So, ladies and gentlemen, and members of the Board of Aldermen, I am here to ask for your support towards my project. Any help you can offer towards the fundraising goal, supporting the installation of the signs, as well as spreading the word about literacy and exercise will be greatly appreciated. For more information, you can visit me on my website, milfordstorywalk.org, visit me on my Facebook page, facebook.com/milfordstorywalk, or email me at marco@milfordstorywalk.org. Thank you for giving me a chance to present here today. I also have some handouts for everyone. Bookmarks from the Literacy Project.
And ladies and gentlemen, again, the Facebook page for how you can contribute to this very cool project is right there on the screens. I will get an email to all of the members of the Board of Aldermen so that you can get as involved in the project as you want. But how about one more round of applause for Marco?
Great job, Marco. I wish you a lot of luck in your project. Hope you can complete that with much satisfaction, and hope you get all the support you need. The next portion of the meeting is devoted to public comment. Statements are limited to the legislative function of the Board of Aldermen. The time limit granted to each speaker shall be 3 minutes. Residents, taxpayers, and electors may address the board at this time. The board encourages speakers not to express derogatory, insensitive, or offensive statements, or to engage in personal attacks against individuals. In order to allow everyone an opportunity to speak, I'd ask that everyone please limit their comments to 3 minutes. Anyone wishing to address the board can do so at this time.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Mayor Blake, Attorney Bertram. I'm here to talk about tolls. I'm putting forward a resolution for next month's meeting that I'm presenting tonight. And it's specific to Milford. I just want to be clear. It's the impact that potentially can happen in our city, which is going to affect our citizens. That's really what prompted this. And we know that there's a lot of opposition for tolls, rightfully so, for a lot of different reasons, mainly the economic piece. It is a tax, but it's going to really burden the citizens of Milford. And I just want to, before I read the resolution into the record, I just want to explain from my vantage point why I feel that way. I'm in the 1st District. I represent the 1st District for 12 years now. In my district, there is a truck stop. So we know that Milford is attracting trucks. And we have the biggest truck stop in the state. And that's a fact. And we also have the most exits off of 95 in the state. So that's a fact. So what that's going to do, it's going to prompt these truckers before they leave Pilot to navigate their way to bypass a toll, whether that be going onto Route 1, and we know that Route 1 and the Boston Post Road is very congested already, and we know on the weekends it's like a traffic jam because you have all the people from out of town coming in to go to the shopping centers, Costco, things like that. So it's going to bring those big rigs into the secondary roads, onto the collector streets, where we have residential housing. And we have people that live there now, and maybe the street, yeah, it's a busy street, but somebody's been living there, so they're not really too overly concerned about it. You know, they're kind of used to it. But what this is going to do, it's going to impact it even more. And for those reasons, you know, I think that this resolution speaks to and gives the people of Milford a voice up in Hartford. And I think maybe collectively, bipartisanly, if you could support this, I think that this action would speak louder than words. And the other thing that I think about when I think about people in Milford, I think about myself and how I travel. And my son has basketball games down at West Shore. So if I'm going to a game, I jump on the highway. It's convenient. People use 95, residents of Milford use 95 as a convenience. We don't want to go through downtown. It takes too long. There's too many lights. We want to jump on the highway, go a couple exits, get off. So if the mom's taking her daughter and she lives in Devon to soccer practice at the Y, that's what she's accustomed to doing. Okay? The pizza delivery guy, I'm thinking about him too. I mean, this guy, you know, he's probably jumping on and off 95, making multiple deliveries, where if there's a toll, he's not going to do that anymore. He's going to stay off the highway, and he's going to be on the secondary roads. And the businesses, the oil trucks, the people that deliver home heating fuel, they're probably jumping on the highway, going down an exit, you know, to make it more convenient, to make better time. If there's a toll there, they're not going to do it. And the other thing that I'm concerned about is the fact that we're connected to the corridor going to the Merritt Parkway. So for instance, if somebody lives on the north end of Milford, you know, it's easy for them to get on the Parkway, but if they live on the other side of town, they have to get on 95 in order to get to the Parkway. So there could be two tolls. So these are the things that come to mind. So with that being said, Mr. Chairman, through you, I would just like to read this and ask for your support. Like I said, I'm looking to put this on next month's agenda so we could all take, you know, a long look at it together, and I hope that this body rises in support of this resolution as presented. Resolution in opposition to the implementation of tolls on Connecticut highways. Whereas the Milford Board of Aldermen believes that the implementation of tolls on Connecticut highways would result in increased traffic on secondary roads in the city of Milford, with motorists attempting to bypass the tolls. And whereas the board further believes the increased traffic on secondary roads would affect the quality and safety of life of citizens of Milford in numerous ways, including but not limited to the dramatic increase of heavy-duty commercial vehicles and tractor-trailer trucks present encroaching on our scenic New England community, negatively impacting the city's character and atmosphere. Now that's really big because we know right downtown here we have a low bridge Now, if there's a toll anywhere along the 95 corridor, we know people, truckers are coming in this downtown area. They're already hitting that bridge. So it's just going to bring more of that type of use, truckers, into the downtown area. The experience of Milford residents and customers of business local to these secondary roads due to the constant dumping of exhaust from the traffic, which was often at a standstill with engines idling. Now, we all know the importance of idling engines and the health and safety factors that that brings to a community. This is just going to increase with tolls because we're going to be forcing people to
Alderman
become...
Giannatasio, I'm giving you the courtesy of speaking this evening. You're already over 5 minutes, just to let you know.
All right.
Let's wrap it up.
Thank you. The immediate and obvious health and safety risks to both the general public who patronize Milford businesses and to the Milford residents who live close by the secondary roads who have no escape from the constant fumes from traffic. The increased cost of local businesses will burden both the business and their customers. Therefore, be it resolved that the Milford Board of Aldermen, on behalf of our constituents in the city and all visitors to this city, do hereby declare opposition to the implementation of tolls on Connecticut highways within the jurisdiction of the city of Milford or within close proximity thereof. And be it further resolved that the city of the Milford Board of Aldermen do hereby submit this resolution to the governor of the state of Connecticut and both houses of the Connecticut State Legislature. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for the time.
Good evening. Greetings, board members. Greeting, Mayor Blake. My name is Anna Kutaya, the superintendent of Milford Public Schools. My office is at 70 West River Street. With me this evening are leaders from our secondary schools, Mr. Berkowitz, the principal of Foreign High School, Ms. Cianti, the principal of the Academy, Mr. Thompson, the principal of Law High, and Ms. Baziano, our supervisor for wellness and student development. Before you this evening is an ordinance regarding the age of sale for tobacco products. And while we do not come to you this evening as lawmakers or health experts, we come to you as educators to share with you a narrative regarding the impact of what we see day to day in our schools on young people based on the use of tobacco products and how that impacts their academic and social emotional lives. So while each one of us will not speak this evening, Mr. Thompson will share some thoughts.
Good evening. My name is Fran Thompson, and I have the great privilege of being the principal of Jonathan Law High School. I'm grateful to be here to speak to you tonight about the dangers of tobacco use, specifically e-cigarettes, among high school students. While Jonathan Law is no different than any other high school in Milford or across the country, the use of electronic cigarette products has followed the national trend and has seen a significant increase over the past 5 years among high school-aged students. It is, in my opinion, and that of my colleagues here tonight, a national health epidemic for this age group. Furthermore, statistics and research now confirm that this issue is infiltrating the middle school age student. It is only together, community, schools, family, and students, that we can battle against this dangerous habit addicting our kids. United, we must inform, educate, and confront the root causes of this at-risk behavior. I commend you for your leadership in considering how to best address this issue. Please know that our team at the Milford Public Schools are ready to work with all of our community partners for the safety and benefit of our students. Thank you.
Hello all, my name is Morgan Taylor and I live at 340 Wolf Harbor Road in Milford. First, I would like to thank the Board of Aldermen for allowing me to speak today. I'm here to support the ordinance establishing the increase in age for the sale of tobacco products. As a junior at Jonathan Law High School, I can tell you that tobacco and tobacco-related products infest the student body. It is truly an epidemic spreading through students, and there needs to be something more done about it. Although bathrooms have been closed off to try and stop the problem, because that is where most of the incidents occur, this only punishes students who now have to waste an extra 5 minutes of valuable class time in order to walk to the other side of the school to simply use a restroom. This has also only slowed down the problem of tobacco product usage for students, as these people continue to use the products in the now limited bathrooms. When I walk into a stall and see and smell remnants of products, we should know there's a problem. If the age in order to increase these products was increased, then I believe the problem would not be as prominent, especially if there was stricter punishment involved for underage buyers and sellers. As a student, I want to see my peers healthy and smart. The effects of tobacco and tobacco-related products on teens are so much more severe if we start smoking or vaping now. Early heart disease and reduced lung growth and function are just 3 of the long list of horrible effects these products can have. Why should people be able to smoke before they are able to drink? Smoking causes the same, if not more, problems than alcohol on teens, and with the long-term effects of vaping not being fully studied yet, how can we not be safe with regulating the products? The nicotine in all these products harms brain development, which affects a person for their whole life. The teens in Milford are our future, so let's take this step to helping them.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the Board of Aldermen, Mr. Mayor, the City Attorney, Peter, Jesus, I know everybody. I'm Wynn Smith. I live at 334 Edgefield Avenue, and I'm here tonight to endorse the resolution that was talked about earlier by Alderman Giantasio, and for all the good reasons that he put forward, but also just to highlight for you, 2 other things that I'd like you to consider as you move that resolution forward. The first, you don't see me here very often, and this is one of those things that is so aggravating and frustrating. It is so rare that in politics that bad policy and bad politics come together in a proposal and crystallize like this one, that folks are pretty worked up about it. And you're their representatives, okay, there's state representatives, state senators, and we're getting hold of them too. But the second point is you're at a unique point here where you can actually have an impact on this and do something about it. I can tell you as a legislator, when a variety of different municipalities speak on an issue by having these resolutions, it matters. It matters even if it isn't their own folks. We can get hold of our own state legislators, but it matters across the spectrum. You can actually make a difference here. You can help steer the state, even though you're only on the Board of Aldermen, and that's not really your purview. It will make a difference to those folks, especially if it's a bipartisan sort of a thing. So I would urge you to take it up. I would urge you to vote for it, and I fully stand behind Alderman Giantasio's resolution. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Walter Hagedorn, 61 Judas Drive, Milford. I'd like to thank Mr. Giannatasio for coming out there and speaking up for us. I run a small business here in Milford, and tolls in Connecticut will hurt us a lot. If you don't, the trickle down, just, nobody's going to be having extra money to spend, but I have crews that are on the road during the day, and we're going around doing house washing and stuff, the traffic is going to be crazy, just trying to get around. And I urge each and every one of you to stand behind Tony and make sure we do the right thing for Connecticut and show that we do support him, and we need to take these steps to move forward. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Dominic Cotton, 60 Corona Drive here in Milford. And I'm not here to speak for or against tolls, but I'm here to speak towards you as aldermen and to realize that the business that we have in front of us is city business, and I think the right place to place this issue is in front of our state representatives and our state senators, and the business that we have in front of us is to deal with Milford and things that we have specific purviews over and specific ability to be able to reflect upon to our state. Personally, I understand Alderman Genitasio's concern over tolls and what it means to our state, but I think it's misplaced here in the front of the Board of Aldermen, and I think the appropriate place is for us to make contact with our state representatives if we have direct feelings towards this, because they're the people that are actually going to be out there voting for or against this, and we have a divided representation, so I think that's probably the best place that we can continue to have this conversation. I don't think to have this in front of the aldermen where they really can't vote on this or be able to do anything reflective of this is really appropriate. And, you know, I think the focus should be on what Milford can do for Milford. And I certainly support the anti-vaping laws that are out there. I know I was a 28-year cigarette smoker from the time I was 13. And I know how difficult it was for me to be able to get out and get under from nicotine. And I think it's important that we face that and take a look at what we can do to be able to make sure that our kids don't have to face that, because it's a God horrible thing to get past. So, thank you.
Members of the board, Mr. Chairman, my name is Andy Fowler. I live on Pine Knob Terrace, and I'm here in support of the resolution in opposition to the tolls. When people ask me where I'm from, I don't say Fredericksburg, Virginia, which is where I was born. I say I'm from Milford. The small city with a big heart is in my blood. It is my home and has been for 25 of my 26 years. But it's no longer home to many of my friends. Most of my friends from high school have moved out of town, many to other states such as New York, Pennsylvania, others to Texas and Minnesota. I can't speak for others, but for me, the dire financial straits that our state faces is evident by the fewer faces I see, and they all moved out to find work. Connecticut is ranked third in terms of highest amount of people, residents fleeing. Only New Jersey and Illinois rank higher, and one of my friends actually moved to New Jersey. The thing is, I was almost one of those people that fled, but I stayed because Milford has given me so much over the years. It is my home. It is our home, and we all need to protect it. However, our elected officials continue to make staying a difficult option. To most, it isn't even an option. Erecting tolls is like putting a Band-Aid on a broken dam. It doesn't fix the actual problem, whether the governor tries to spin it that way or not. We cannot allow Hartford's tools of looting our citizens' pockets to be permitted here, and that includes tolls. If you are not against tolls, then you are against the people you represent. It is that plain, and it is that simple. The Board of Aldermen should take action and direct the Ordinance Committee to bar the location of tolls within our town. Milford needs to be a sanctuary city without tolls, a sanctuary for common sense. We need to be the example in this fight because we are the most targeted, since we have the most exit and entrance ramps off of 95. We need to act like it. Otherwise, people like me will continue to leave. So let's send a message to Hartford. No tolls, no how, no way, nowhere. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is John Dixon. I'm the president and CEO of Bridges Healthcare, located at 949 Bridgeport Avenue. I was instructed not to deviate from my previous statement before the subcommittee. However, I want to thank Mayor Blake for having Marco attend here and recognize the fact that becoming an Eagle Scout is one of the most significant accomplishments anyone can have in life. So, 20 more bucks. There you go. Thank you for the opportunity to allow me to speak regarding the proposed ordinance to raise the age for tobacco sales to the age of 21. As many of you know, Bridges has provided quality, professional, compassionate, mental health, and substance abuse treatment to Milford residents for the past 62 years. I'm new to Milford and have worked here for the past 6 months. I've been very much impressed by the sense of community instilled in its citizens and by the commitment of people such as yourselves to thoughtfully and compassionately addressing tough and sometimes challenging issues. I'm particularly struck by the collaboration of all stakeholders when it comes to making important decisions. I'm a social worker, not a health expert, but I don't think you have to be a medical specialist to gain access to all kinds of data from a wide variety of sources that speak to the perils of teen smoking, some of which include that tobacco use is started and established primarily during adolescence and frequently carries through to adulthood, with flavorings of products making them more appealing to the youth. That there exists a strong relationship between youth smoking and depression, anxiety, and stress, with 1 in 4 adults with a mental health or substance abuse diagnosis representing almost 40% of all cigarettes smoked by adults overall. And that nicotine has an adverse effect on brain development, with long-lasting impact on memory and attention. I do not feel the need to convince you as a group that the minimum age for the sale of tobacco should be raised to 21. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention supports such an effort and reports that 3 in 4 adults, including 7 of 10 adult smokers, favor making 21 the minimum age for tobacco sales. Hawaii, California, New Jersey, Maine, Oregon, Massachusetts, and Virginia have all supported legislation to move forward with raising the age to 21. One lesson I have learned in my short time as CEO of Bridges is to make sure that due diligence is done to address any unintended consequences, even of the best ideas. I've learned more than once that my creative thinking in and of itself doesn't mean that people I serve will benefit from a great idea. I would only be guessing at what some of the consequences would be for the proposal you are considering, like the effects on small businesses, enforcement, and other such demands. There are likely considerations you've already taken, as well as receiving guidance from your excellent health department. With those in mind, this could be another step taken by this community to best serve its residents. Thank you very much.
Is there anyone else wishing to address the board at this time?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the Board of Aldermen. I'm John Drab, 41 Jackson Drive. And Mr. Chairman, former Speaker of the United States House of Representatives, Tip O'Neill, had a saying and in fact wrote a book called "All Politics is Local." And that phrase may mean different things to different people. But you, the members of the Board of Aldermen, you have the smallest constituency of anybody that represents me. And what I mean by that is, you, Mr. Chairman, Alderman Gurman, Alderman Sutton, you represent me on this board. Representative Ferraro represents me in Hartford. Senator Maroney represents me in Hartford. Representative Ferraro's district is bigger than each of yours. Senator Maroney's district is bigger than Representative Ferraro's. Taking it to the federal level, I'm represented by Congresswoman DeLauro, who has a larger district than Senator Maroney. And Senators Murphy and Blumenthal have a bigger district than Congresswoman DeLauro. What is the point of all of this? Well, you folks are in the best position to have those intimate conversations with your constituents. And I would urge each and every one of you, have those conversations with the people of Milford. Because while Mr. Cotton is right, this board certainly has no decisive ability to impact the question of whether tolls are reinstituted in this state. But as Senator Smith indicated, that has merit, that has meaning when it is sent to Hartford. And each of you has a much better opportunity than anybody else that represents the citizens of Milford to have those conversations, find out what the people that put you each in those chairs think about the issue, and express the collective voice to the people that will make that ultimate decision. I urge you to get behind the distinguished minority leader's resolution. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Board of Aldermen, Mayor Blake. Thank you for taking such a proactive approach regarding raising the age of tobacco to the age of 21. I think between that and also the resolution that Alderman Genastasio had indicated, I think this presents a great opportunity for the city of Milford. And to follow up to the point, you are all elected officials. We follow the political process in order to elect you. You are representatives of your district, which means you are the voice of your district. I don't think we should allow ourselves to feel lesser influenced just because you do not represent the state or you are not a district representative that sits in a seat in Hartford. You are the voice of your citizens. And we come to you tonight as citizens of Milford to voice our support or our disapproval on any resolution that crosses your desk. But this is where it stops. I think we need to emphasize the fact that for the city of Milford, both these matters impact our children, and in regards to the tolls, impact our businesses, in fact, impact our schools, because with some of these short roads, we know that school buses go up along 162, which is a state road. It's also a shortcut. So if somebody wanted to take off the highway and follow 162 all the way down through West Haven, down to New Haven, they could easily bypass quite a few tolls in the interim. So I think we understand that. There are a lot of smart people here. But the fact is that we have an opportunity to address a larger issue, not simply limited to tolls and to tobacco. I think we need to allow ourselves to provide, I think we need to take this opportunity to be more vocal, to put our representative on task. Because I think we've come to a time in this country that we've become too partisan and too married to ideology, to party, that you would vote for a pet rock if they were under a specific political party just because you're married to that party for whatever respective reason it may be. But I think at this point, with these particular items, this crosses political party. This crosses age groups. It crosses, generations. It affects all of us. And I think we should take this opportunity to be passionate to our state leadership exactly what the view, at least the residents of Milford, are in both these areas. Thank you again.
Hello, I'm Daniel Bedeker. I live at 377 Houstonic Drive here in Milford. And I must say, I don't want tolls, but I've been to several of these meetings about tolls and listened to both sides. And of course, no one wants tolls. No one's going to stand up and say, yay, we need tolls. But when I listen to the opposition side, like Alderman Genastasio, not everything he says makes sense. For example, my father was a truck driver, and if he was at the Pilot, he was not going to leave the Pilot, go down Woodmont Road, and go to Post Road past the mall to bypass some tolls. He would go on 95. Other people made the point that people are leaving Connecticut. Well, we don't have tolls, and they're leaving Connecticut, so that doesn't really sway me one way or the other. There's been some statistics in the paper and on the news about where the tolls are going to be and how much they're going to cost. My wife works in Fairfield. I did sort of a calculation how much it would cost per day, per week, per month, and yeah, it's going to cost a little money, but if it helps infrastructure, that's great. Almost every other state up and down the eastern seaboard has tolls. Connecticut is one of the few that don't, maybe the only one. Connecticut's also supposedly in the economic recovery we're lagging behind everyone else, all the other states that have tolls. I'm not saying one way or the other, which I support. I'm listening to both sides. And at some point, I'll come down, probably that tolls are probably going to be a necessary evil to fix the problems we have in the state. It's not great, but we'll deal with it. As far as extra traffic on the roads, I imagine if they got implemented, people would avoid them for a while, and then, well, I'm not going down the Post Road or New Haven Avenue. I got to get where I'm going, so I'm going to go up on 95. So that's just some of the thoughts I've been having. So thank you for your time.
Anyone else would like to address the board can do so at this time. Seeing none, Alderman Vecchiarelli, agenda item number 3, consideration of minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of the Board of Aldermen held on March 4th, 2019.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Alderman Vecchiarelli, there was no special meeting. Under agenda number 5, Chairman's report. I don't really have much of a report other than just to remind the aldermen that we are starting our budget season. First budget hearing will be Thursday, April 4th. This coming Thursday at 7 o'clock, and the next one following that will be Monday, April 8th. Just mark it on your calendars and be aware of that. Thank you. The other agenda item number 6, agenda will be the mayor's report and recommendation. Mr. Mayor, is there a report from the mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Good evening again. Before he leaves, I do want to once again thank Marco, who has made the presentation earlier this evening about his upcoming Eagle Scout project. As you saw, it is a fantastic project that will hopefully be online pretty soon. I also want to recognize some folks that were in the audience. There's still some of them that are here as even this late into the evening. Members of Milford's Parent Leadership Training Institute, PLTI group, has come this evening. The Milford liaison to that group, Leslie Darling, is unfortunately not here because she just welcomed her first grandchild 2 days ago. But I know that the PLTI group is working hard and learning lots to make Milford a better place. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I respectfully request your consideration and action on those items listed on the agenda, 8A through 8D. I do want to recognize our city clerk's birthday as well. Happy birthday, Joanne. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions as they come up during the meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We'll open under agenda item number 7, unfinished business. There is no unfinished business. We'll move on to agenda number 8. Moving on to new business. Alderman Vecchiarelli, agenda item number 8A.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the request for the appointment of Joy Duva of 253 West Rutland Road as a member of the Milford Department of Human Services to fill the present vacancy, term expiring 12/31/21.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Alderman Vecchiarelli, agenda item 8B.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the request for the appointment of Catherine Kamen, 76 Whitney Ave, as a member of the Milford Animal Shelter Commission to fill the present vacancy, term expiring 12/31/20.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. At this time, we'll the newly confirmed board and commission members come to the front of the auditorium to be sworn in by our city clerk.
Do you solemnly swear or sincerely affirm that you will uphold your duties and responsibilities on your prospective boards for the city of Milford, so help you God, or under the pain or penalty for perjury or false statement? Congratulations. Thank you. Just stay for 1 minute. I'm just going to have you sign something. Stay for 1 second. I have to have you sign.
Next on our agenda is item number 8C, Alderman Vecchiarelli. Item 8C.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the request for the attached agreement for collection of soft recyclables between the City of Milford and Simple Recycle, Connecticut LLC, and to authorize the mayor and the Public Works Director to take all steps necessary, including signing all documents to effectuate said agreement.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Chairman.
Alderman Grant.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you. So this came up through our board quite some time ago and is an absolute great program that we're going to be implementing in Milford. But in case some people have forgotten what it really entails, I noticed we have our Public Works Director in the back, Director Saley. If he'd be able to come up and just kind of remind everybody about the project and what it entails, it'll probably answer a lot of the questions that we may have.
So good evening, everybody. Thank you. So this program is going to take clothes, textiles, they call them, out of our MSW stream and put it into a recycling component where the vast majority goes overseas, but some of it is recycled internally or, for the United States itself. And we're going to get paid a small amount of money for that. So it's a win-win for all parties.
Thank you. And Director Saley, could you please speak about the monetary benefits that this is going to have? Because it should take and reduce the amount of textiles that are placed in city recycling.
Yeah, so the money that we're going to receive, I believe, is 20 cents. Is it 20 cents a ton? 2 cents a ton. 2 cents a ton. But the benefit is it's going to offset the cost of going to the burn plant, which typically is where it goes now, which right now we're paying right around $92 a ton to get rid of our materials between transportation and disposal fees. So that's a true savings to the city. Plus, it's just a good benefit for the environment and everything else that comes into play.
Alderman Anderson.
Alderman Grant asked my questions. Thank you.
Alderman Giannattasio.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you, good evening, Mr. Saley. Can you share with the members of the board how the residents can utilize this service?
Sure. So it's going to work out that everybody will get a bag that the company starts with, and then they'll put it out at the curb. And then the company that's going to be involved with this will drive through the town and pick up the bags. When they see a bag out, they'll deposit another bag at that residence. So it will be a recycled idea where, so you put a bag out, you're going to get another bag back.
Just to follow up through you, Mr. Chairman, can you just explain a little more detail as far as how will they know there's a bag out at that specific?
There's two different ways. One is an iPad that our drivers will have and notify. The other way is actually physically driving the routes.
Okay.
And there's also, I believe, going to be a number that they can call to notify.
Very good. Thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Mr. Saley, so the truck that's going to be picking up these recyclable items, they're going to be dropping a bag off at every resident's house in the city of
Yes,
Milford?
to start the program, they drop a bag off.
They're going to be following the recycling truck around, I would imagine.
Actually, they're just going to make like a route and do it, because the recycling truck does every other neighborhood every other week. So they would go through the town and drop off a bag at each residence.
So they already know the routes?
Yes,
They're going
yes,
to do
they
it on,
will.
they're going to do it on their own? They're not, doesn't
This
necessarily...
has no expense to the city.
Thank you. Any more? Alderman Gurman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to the Public Works Director, Saley. So in this, I guess, publication here, it says that they'll be distributing containers, so that's not...
No, well, it's a bag. It's not a container.
All right.
Maybe they classify it as a container, but it's a bag.
Because I don't need another container. Thank you.
We want to be green, remember.
Any more discussion on the motion?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
If I could just give the board a bit of brief background as to why we're revisiting this.
Absolutely.
This board approved an agreement with, what was it, Simple Recycling, actually a year ago, April 3rd, 2018. Why it's before you again, Director Saley alluded to it. The prior agreement, which was approved, which we did never put into effect, we never signed, because Simple Recycling added the tablet function. They call it their Street Smart. It was new technology, and its tablets are going to be put in the recycling trucks. And I don't know if anybody has Waze. There's a pothole, you can tap it. So when our employees drive by, they see a Simple Recycling bag outside, they're going to tap it, and it provides GPS information to Simple Recycling to come get the bags at a faster, more expeditious, so bags aren't on the side of the road. So that basically, we agreed to put the tablets in our recycling trucks, but with that said, there's indemnification language within the agreement, which is part of your backup materials, which basically the city's going to indemnify the contractor if somebody takes a tablet and then goes on eBay or Amazon and starts doctoring it. So that's the legal reason is that there's an indemnification provision for tablets, which was not contemplated or part of the deal that you approved last April. And it took us about a year to figure it out.
Thank you, John. Thank you for that explanation. I was just wondering, this is going to be a year-round project?
That would be the goal.
I know that there are garbage, the trash container and recycling container has a top, whereas the textile bag, I don't know what that has, but it's
They'll
gonna...
wrap it. They'll wrap it.
They'll wrap, okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me. Alderman Beccarelli.
Thank you. I was wondering if you could, for the people that are home watching this and maybe for the audience, could you give us a little, what can they put in this bag?
Anything that's obviously not soiled, but any used, slightly used or used clothes, shoes, jackets, anything, they call it textiles and it's kind of confusing, but any clothing that you would normally, most people throw away. We can reuse it, it gets repurposed. Most of it, like I said, I think it's 90 or 95% goes overseas, but it definitely diverts it from our MSW, which is a big benefit for the city.
Alderman Vitale.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. Mr. Director, what is the turnaround time? So our people go through and collect the recyclables. They punch in the information that such an address has this other container or bag. So how quickly will they pick it up?
It's my understanding it's going to be the day of. But
Day of, so-
I'm sure, that's my understanding. I'm sure until they get all the kinks out, especially there's a number of other towns that are coming on board right around the same time. So it'll be logistically interesting to see. Obviously, they're going to bring new employees on and learning the town. So I think it'll be the day or maybe the next day.
Because that's going to be an interesting situation that if we have bags hanging on our sidewalks for a day or so, and inclement weather, as Mr. Chair had brought up, the fact that were they weathered, are they weatherproof kind of thing, plastic kind
they're
of
a
thing?
fairly thick bag. I mean, they're like a garbage bag. And I believe the color was green the last time I saw it. But I think common sense would weigh out. If someone knew there was a storm coming, they would probably wait till the following week to put it out. With that said, there's no guarantee.
Will all that information be gotten to the resident? That if it's stormy, you don't put it out that particular day?
I didn't say that. I said I would think common sense would wear out, that if people knew there was a storm, they wouldn't put it out. And there's also going to be a contact information, so if they had any questions, they could call.
Common sense doesn't always prevail, number one. Number two is that expeditiously, it should be picked up within a time frame that is comfortable for everybody, and not having, just like leaves on the side, the bags become torn and leaves get, you collect them and all of a sudden they're all over again because they're not being picked up in an expeditious way. So I just hope that this is another issue that we don't have to deal with as our constituents call us to say, hey, what about these bags being picked up at any particular time? So the idea, the concept is fantastic.
Yeah.
I understand that, but hopefully it'll be done expeditiously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, just to respond to Alderman Vitale's question, the program as it's envisioned and as the agreement reads allows for this company to follow our recycling trucks, so only the recycling routes would put out their soft recyclables on that day. So it would be every other week on whatever your recycling day is. That's how the contract reads.
So we'll be following, the truck will be following. Okay, so that makes
I don't know if it's following or ahead of the truck, but
shortly behind.
it will be on the same day. Also, this contract allows the city to break off this relationship, this program at any given time. If things are not working out, if this program is going awry, we have that ability to cancel.
Mr. Chair, in addition, there is, if you see in Section 9 of the proposed agreement, there will be a program brochure and contact information for simple recycling that will be distributed along with the recycling bags, such that if a bag is left out and not picked up, the brochure is going to direct the homeowner to contact Simple Recycling directly to have the truck come back if they happen to miss a pickup.
Thank you, Attorney Bertram. Any more questions or discussions on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director Saley. Next item on the agenda is item 8D, Alderman Vecchiarelli.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the request for the attached allocation transfer number 5, floating docks.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Chairman.
Alderman Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you, I wanted to note for the record that the Harbor Management Commission and our harbor master, Ray Swift, have done a terrific job of putting in new planks down at Lisbon Landing, and I wondered if Mr. Swift would just take a minute to come up to provide us with the information on the work that's gone on over the course of the fall and winter.
Good evening. I'd just like to clarify that I'm the director of Milford Lisbon Landing. Bruce Carrilla is the harbor master. And,
I was using using quotation marks when I said it.
He is doing an exceptional job too. The landing is getting to be about 25, 26 years old. This redecking project could not have come at a better time, and we could not have done it without the state's assistance with a grant that was received. The project is just about done. We have redecked every flat surface we own with a Brazilian hardwood called iPay or ePay. Fantastic stuff. It does not absorb water. If you haven't been down there, take a look. It's a huge improvement. I've seen marinas who have the same material in use for 15, 18 years, and it looks great. So I would expect this to hold up just as well. We've made some good improvements. Like I said, the marina is 25 years old. The patio was redone a couple years ago. The sidewalk and the curbing between Scoopy-Doo's, the ice cream place in front, and our marina office was redone. The tent is being replaced this year. Just an overall redo, and it's the perfect time to get all of this done. So it's going to almost feel like a fresh start this spring, and I'm looking forward to the season. I hope to see everybody down there at one time or another. The reservations are coming in as usual. Oyster Festival, Lobster Bake, the holiday weekends, but I'm telling you, this 4th of July, I think is probably, well, they officially called the kickoff the summer event. I think it's actually overtaken the Oyster Festival in popularity. I don't have enough room for everybody who wants to be there for 3 or 4 of the events, and as usual, it's just because of downtown Milford, and downtown Milford is the way it is because of your support. I can't say enough about, and we've heard it tonight from other speakers about living in Milford, and having nothing to do with Milford Harbor, Milford Landing. I have 2 children who managed to buy homes within walking distance of where I lived, and I remind them all the time how lucky they are and how lucky I am that they were able to afford a home in Milford and stay here and live here. And we don't plan on going anywhere. And again, Milford's a great place to be, and our family couldn't be any more happy to be here. So anyway. Any other questions? Or
I just got one.
I can elaborate on?
I just was curious on how is the decking fast to the beams, the joists?
Everything's been screwed down with stainless steel screws. Everything was pre-drilled. The crew that did the work, Peter is the second-hand man, and he built a jig that you would not believe out of aluminum and 2 routers. They drilled just about, they were dead nuts. They said it was gonna take 60,000 screws. They pre-drilled 60,000 holes, which made for a perfect alignment with every screw down there. It looks great. It looks great.
Good job. Any more discussion on the motion? Alderman Gurman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you to Ray. I have EPA on my deck. I've had it for many years, and it's terrific stuff. But it has to get sealed every year. Is there a maintenance program to this?
We're going to have to, the cut edges will be sealed this season. And I've talked with the Harbor Master, Bruce Carilla, about it, who's had some experience with this at Milford Yacht Club. There's different types of sealers. There's stain sealers, there's clear sealers. From what I've seen in other marinas, they are not sealed on a regular basis. It kind of goes gray like teak does, and kind of has a uniform appearance. But there are projects out there. I just haven't looked into them that much to see if the recommendation is yearly or not at all. So we'll determine that as time goes on.
Thank you, but it is terrific stuff.
Do you have an experience with that, with sealers?
Yes. Yeah, I'll share that with you. Yeah.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you.
Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Mr.
Very
Swift.
good. Thank you for your support.
Next item agenda on the
Mr.
agenda
Chair.
is item number 9.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Excuse me. Can I request a recess, a short recess?
Sure. We're now in recess. We're back off in recess. We're open under agenda item number 9. New business not on the agenda, which may be introduced by 2/3 vote of present and voting. Alderman Frank Smith.
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Point of order?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Alderman Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In consideration of the presentation during the public hearing section of our meeting tonight by Alderman Giannatasio, I would like to propose that we add to tonight's agenda Alderman Giannatasio's resolution in opposition to the implementation of tolls on Connecticut highways. I understand by the rules of this board it requires a 2/3 vote. I'd like a motion to add it to tonight's agenda and ask, Mr. Chairman, that we have a vote on making that addition.
There's a motion and a second on the floor to add a new item to the agenda with a 2/3 vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. The item is added to our new business. Will Alderman Sutton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, there has to be the main motion that's made either by Mr. Giannatassio or by Mr. Smith.
Mr. Smith made the motion to go on, to put it on the agenda, and we voted on it unanimously to put it on the agenda.
So the item's on the agenda, but it still needs to be made.
Okay, if I could, Mr. Chairman, then I would like to introduce as new business tonight, as approved by the board of the 2/3 unanimous vote, the resolution in opposition to implementation of tolls on Connecticut highways as presented and read into the record during the public hearing section by Alderman Giannatassio.
Motion is made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Alderman Peccarelli.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I do believe that we should read this resolution in its entirety for the people that may not be aware of what it is that we're going to be voting on. It's not very long, but I think they would probably be served the public well if we read what this resolution was.
You want to read it, Alderman Peccarelli? Not really. Alderman Sutton, would you like to read it? Alderman Giannatassio would like to read it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. Whereas the Milford Board of Aldermen believes that the implementation of tolls of Connecticut highways would result in increased traffic on secondary roads in the city of Milford with motorists attempting to bypass the tolls. And whereas the board further believes the increased traffic on secondary roads would affect the quality and safety of life of citizens of Milford in numerous ways, including but not limited to the dramatic increase of heavy-duty commercial vehicles and tractor-trailer trucks presents encroaching on our scenic New England community, negatively impacting the city's character and atmosphere. The experience of Milford, where the businesses along our secondary roads who experienced a downturn in business as the secondary roads functioned as a primary road, turning away local traffic to the respective businesses. The experience of Milford residents and customers of businesses local to these secondary roads due to the constant dumping of exhaust from the traffic, which was often at a standstill with engines idling. The immediate and obvious health and safety risks to both the general public who patronize Milford businesses and to the Milford residents who live close by the secondary roads who have no escape from the constant fumes of traffic. The increased costs to local businesses will burden both to businesses and their customers. Therefore, be it resolved that the Milford Board of Aldermen, on behalf of our constituents in the city and all visitors to this city, do hereby declare opposition to the implementation of tolls on Connecticut highways within the jurisdiction of the city of Milford or within close proximity thereof, and be it further resolved that the City of Milford Board of Aldermen do hereby submit this resolution to the Governor of the State of Connecticut in both houses of the Connecticut State Legislature, dated in Milford, Connecticut, this April 1st, 2019. Thank you.
The motion is read. Is there a second? The motion is read and seconded. Is there any discussion? Alderman Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, on first pass, obviously, this is a very provocative issue in Hartford right now. It's certainly a matter that is going to be of intense interest during the election, both next year and possibly in the local election this year. And I always say, you know, when it's a political subject, when both of your esteemed and respective town chairmen are present at an alderman meeting, although I see Mr. Kerma, I don't see Mr. Smith, but I know he was here earlier. And that's okay, because politics is the building of consensus, and it is the way democracy is able to operate and resolve issues like this. Unfortunately, as much as most of us hate the idea of paying tolls, any of us that remember the tolls, when I was a kid, we used to leave to go down to visit my grandmother in New York, and my dad used to bypass the Stratford toll and go around down to Broad Street to get on there to save 25 cents. Back in the 60s, that was a lot of money, but it was all the way up until the tragic accident over 30 years ago at Stratford, which a lot of us do remember. The idea of tolls in Connecticut has been an anathema. I just drove from last week on business down to Virginia, and every state after I left Connecticut had some type of toll. New York, the New Jersey Turnpike, the Delaware Memorial, all the way down to the Beltway and 495, all had tolls. Mr. Fowler, during the public hearing section, mentioned that this was very simple. And unfortunately, it simply isn't that simple, because the fact of the matter is that the infrastructure in this state and in this country is in a state of dire disrepair. The current national administration is in agreement with the minority and the opposition to work on infrastructure, that it is a pressing problem that affects all of us regardless of political parties. So my feeling is, as much as I do support and do feel that we do not want to see tolls reintroduced into the state of Connecticut, I realize that Alderman Ginatasio's resolution is very specific and parochial. It says, we are opposed to the implementation of tolls on Connecticut highways within this jurisdiction of the city of Milford. Well, when this goes to the General Assembly or to the governor, they say, well, this is just not in my backyard. Anybody can do this. Why doesn't the alderman in the city of Milford vote that just to express their opposition to tolls all over the state of Connecticut? Well, anyway, if you looked in the paper last week when the governor came in, we were looking at a railroad bridge over the Housatonic that has been there for 100 and some odd years without very much repair. And God forbid the day something goes wrong where we've already seen a bridge collapse in Connecticut. These are real issues involving real roads, real bridges, real overpasses that frankly have not been cared for or updated and improved in over 50 years since the Connecticut Turnpike and Interstate 84 were originally opened. So I think that we can go into this and make a sweeping statement, we're against it, and I think we can all agree on it. But I think as legislators for this city, as somebody said, we have the smallest constituency to be, and we're going to be talking to our constituents. We don't want tolls, but we also want to be practical about it. We also want to understand that there is a cost to have infrastructure. And as much as we don't like it, we can't simply say we only want the candy, but we don't want any of the vegetables, and say that's the way it's going to be. Somebody's got to make the point that it is incumbent on all of us and incumbent on this board that we do the responsible thing with regard to infrastructure, not just say we don't want tolls, but also be able to find a revenue source in which we can pay for some of these things, which have really been kicked down the road for many, many years. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Alderman Smith. Is there any more discussion? Alderman Vitale.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. To Alderman Smith, that was very eloquently put forth. But the fact is, we also had gas taxes for many years that we're supposed to have gotten to the infrastructure. We've had money put aside for infrastructure. What do they call it? The lockbox. Somebody either lost a key or there were too many keys to the lockbox. So, you know, it's a confusing situation for the public out there. Do we think we're going to get tolls? I don't know, I guess. It's a shoot. The people who represent us up there, I experienced, it's amazing, I did experience going up to Hartford the other day to talk against the marijuana bill. There's so many bills up there, whether it be cannabis or hemp, marijuana, and it's so confusing to everybody. And to hear the public speak and to hear the professionals speak and still take a stance on just negating, just the glare in their eyes, just watching these people who have our state at heart, just to know that nothing's going to be done. They're not hearing us. They're not hearing us at all. I just kind of think that, maybe the tolls are not the worst thing in the world. Maybe, I don't know. But as many as they're going to put there, you can't move without going through every so often, or whatever, quarter mile, half mile, you're going to hit a toll. What is going to be the cost of just the gantries, putting up those gantries? But I would like to see, the idea that, continue to put the money where you're supposed to be putting, especially with gas taxes, and having that revenue coming in, and prove to us, prove to the people of the state of Connecticut that you're going to put your money where your mouth is, and you're finally going to do something with the taxes that you collect. We experienced that with the gambling. That was supposed to go to education, with the casinos. Where is it? Where is it going? So I'm confused about that issue. And if I was one of those legislators voting up there, I would say no. And I think our constituents have a voice in there through us, and I think that's what we need to do. So thank you.
Any more discussion on the motion? Hearing none. Oh, Alderman Sutton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to make a motion to amend the motion that is currently on the floor. Alderman Smith raises questions, very good questions, and makes very good points about the condition of the infrastructure here in our state and the need for its repair, and which begs the question of how to pay for it, when to pay for it. And I think that I'd like to offer this amendment. I don't know if that's been handed out to the board, but for the motion on the floor, in the resolution, after Alderman Giannatasio's last bullet point, which reads, "The increased cost to local businesses will burden both the business and their customers," I would like to add the following. The first paragraph, "Whereas it is agreed and settled that the highway infrastructure in the state of Connecticut is in serious state disrepair, and whereas the state has an obligation to recognize the urgency of the situation and commit to the repair and rebuilding of our crumbling roads and bridges for the safety of all who drive over them, and whereas the cost of such investment will likely reach or exceed $1 billion, and whereas the state of Connecticut currently maintains a burdensome and costly debt level as a result of irresponsible bonding and borrowing over many years, and whereas a significant and growing portion of our annual budget now goes to interest on debt, resolved that we, the Board of Aldermen in the City of Milford, support and encourage the necessary investment in our state's crumbling infrastructure, but while also responsibly identifying ways to fund this investment without furthering the deep financial crisis our state already faces by borrowing the funds and pushing the debt burden onto our children and grandchildren. And then in the following paragraph, I would like to add the word further after therefore be it, so that next to last paragraph will read, therefore, comma, be it further resolved. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Alderman Sutton. Amendment has been read. Is there a second? Second. The amendment has been read and seconded. Is there any discussion on the amendment?
Can we take a recess, please?
Recess? Okay.
Thank you.
5-minute recess. We're back from recess, and we're still under discussion on the amendment. Any more discussion on the amendment? Alderman Giannatasio.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. Unfortunately, I can't support the amendment as presented for the following reason. The intent here was, you know, I don't know if all of you or some of you, I don't think you were there, Frank, Alderman Smith, but we walked in the St. Patrick's Day Parade, and we had a visit from our governor. From the beginning of the parade to the end, all the Milford residents continue to say no tolls, no tolls. And there's a strong voice from the citizens of Milford that they're opposed to the tolls. And that was the intent of this resolution to begin with, period. Though I do appreciate the effort, I just feel that it's convoluted. It's you know, being very contradictory, and it's political. I think it's very simple. It's either a yes or no. And I can't support the amendment. However, what's going to happen here tonight is the amendment will pass because our majority, and we're going to go back to the main motion. And the main motion, you know, the beginning of the resolution is everything that, you know, I worked with my Republican caucus with. They all had input. You know, I don't want to take all the credit for it because we all met on this, and we reviewed other resolutions in surrounding towns, and this is really nothing that's out of the ordinary. And like I mentioned in my submission, that Milford really is, you know, in jeopardy more than any other city or town in the state because of the facts that I mentioned, because we have a truck stop, because we have multiple exits off of 95. I mean, I don't know how much more clearer I need to be. I mean, everything else that you added in here, really, you know, to some of the citizens that spoke here tonight, that's up to the legislators to determine. It's really not up to us. We just have to, you know, support what we're hearing from our constituents. And I got to be honest with you, after walking in that parade, it's clear people don't want tolls, not in Milford. And however it may end up, it may end up. But for me, I can't support the amendment, and then we're going to go back to the main motion, and the main motion's going to pass, and then we're going to end up with, you know, something that really is not what we wanted, what we intended, and it really has no purpose. I mean, and those are my feelings on it. So with that being said, you know, if that's what we're going to do, then that's what we're going to do. But I just want to be clear. We have the press here tonight, and I want them to, you know, let the people know that the Republicans, our intention was, first and foremost, to say no tolls. And if the Democrats, you know, are going to put this forward, then, you know, it's just not being fair to the citizens of Milford. Thank you.
Any more discussion on the amendment? Alderman Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I certainly appreciate and agree with Alderman Giannatasio's position. I, too, as a resident of Milford, as a traveler on the interstate highway system in 95 and elsewhere in the state of Connecticut, do not welcome the idea of tolls in Milford or anywhere else in the state. And I think that Alderman Giannatasio's resolution is a good one. I think that there is nothing watered down about it. It's simply a question of adding in the grown-up side of this. Is it's not enough to say I don't want something. It's also being, as somebody said, in our capacity as elected officials, to serve the intelligence of our constituents who understand that none of these things are free, and there has to be other ways in which we can fund the desperately needed improvements to our roads and highways. So I agree with Alderman Giannatasio's resolution. I would prefer that there'd be no tolls in Milford or anywhere else, but I also feel that in order to be taken seriously, we also have to at least acknowledge the realities of the real world and the real fiscal impact this will have not only on the state but also on our city. So I would encourage my colleagues in the minority to also recognize that we are adopting your language, we are agreeing to it, but we are also adding in the practical aspect, which is these things have to be funded, and we can't simply do it by bonding. This is something that we're going to need help from the federal government and all other levels of government to accomplish, and I think it should reflect that coming out of this City Hall and to our legislators and our governor in Hartford, that we are cognizant of those things and understand what's required in order to rebuild a lot of the desperately needed infrastructure in the state.
Thank you, Alderman Smith. Any more discussion on the amendment? Alderman Vitale.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We came here tonight with a resolution. We heard the grown-up piece, we heard the kids piece. We call it politics. It's politics. You know, let's call it what it is. It's politics. The point is, if you don't like the resolution, don't vote for the resolution. But the intent here is that you want tolls. Because if you've got a $1 billion cost here and you don't want to burden your grandchildren and children, how are you going to pay for it? You want tolls. I said, you have a gas tax. Show me. Show me you can do something with the gas tax. Oh, you can't do that. Okay. So the point would be that you are introducing amendments to, we'll have ownership, our resolution. Vote it down. We have, it's the political piece that we're playing here, not at the state level. The political piece that we're playing here is, oh, we put a resolution forth. You amend. You got the majority, you amend. Okay, guys on the other side, I hate to say the Republican Democrat, but you guys on the other side now have to vote against or have to vote for your resolution. You're voting against your resolution. You're talking out of both sides of your mouth. Do we know that you have to pay for it? Absolutely. Absolutely. But the fact is, you don't like our resolution, make your own resolution. Don't water our resolution down. We're simply stating the fact that we don't want tolls. We gave you 3 or 4 indicators as to why you don't like them. Vote it down. This becomes your resolution, not our resolution. It becomes your way of thinking, not our way of thinking. Vote the original resolution down. You heard that it starts from the ground up. You need to be aware of what our constituents are saying to us. They're sending a message. We need to send a message. The messages are different. But you put us between a rock and a hard place. We vote the amendments down. You vote for them. They become part of the original resolution. Now, what do? Vote against it? I don't know, but I think it's clear-cut. I would like to see you take back those resolutions or the amendments, rescind them or whatever, and we go back to the original and vote it down. I'd rather see that than making it so convoluted that it's not what our intent was. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Alderman Vecchiarelli.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would just like to make a point here that while we support this resolution, the resolution is that Mr. Vitale says that they're in opposition to tolls. This resolution is only that they're only in opposition to tolls in Milford or in a close proximity. That's not that they're totally against tolls in Connecticut. This basically just says that you're against them putting a toll in Milford. Well, I don't know where they're going to put them. I don't know how much power we're going to have keeping them from putting them in Milford, but we certainly agree with you that we don't want them in Milford either, for a lot of the reasons that you have stated here, that, people will go around them and they're going to be using the roads all over, and yeah, we go along with that. So we're not watering yours down. You're not against, you don't want the tolls put in Milford. We agree with you. but we also believe that we do not want to strap our children and grandchildren with this debt burden, because right now there's a very high cost debt level paying for the bonding that we've already borrowed. And we just can't keep borrowing and borrowing. Look at the federal government. I mean, they put it up and say, this is how much we owe. And every minute it goes by, the interest and everything goes up and up and up. We don't need that here in this state. So what we've put down here is that, well, we know we need our roads fixed and our bridges fixed and all that kind of stuff. But we don't want to keep bonding this stuff and putting the debt into where our children and grandchildren are going to have to pay it. This simply, we state here, is that we want them to identify other ways to fund these things that we need done. Look to the federal government. Look at other ways besides the bonding. And again, we're not in favor of the tolls in their entirety. And we want to keep our taxes down. There's only one other state in the country that pays more taxes than Connecticut, Illinois. And I think we're going to have the #1 spot next year. So again, this is not bad. Yours isn't bad. I think the both of them sent to Hartford sends a clear message. Not only do we not want tolls at Milford, but we want you to be fiscally responsible. We're already strapped now with high taxes, almost the highest in the country. So please, let's pull a rabbit out of your hat and figure out how you can fund this without putting more burdens on us. Thank you.
Any more discussion on the amendment? Alderman Sutton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And again, to sort of springboard off of what Alderman Vecchiarelli said and to respond somewhat to what Alderman Vitale said, is that the purpose of the amendment, and Alderman Vecchiarelli phrased it wonderfully, about adding the other concerns that this issue brings to the table of infrastructure and tolls in the city of Milford, is this resolution has now become our resolution. It's not us, it's not them, it's our resolution. And over the last 2, 4, 6 years, this board has worked bipartisanly, if that's a word, to keep our taxes down in the city of Milford, to provide essential services, and we've worked together. And members of both parties have taken credit for that and enjoyed kudos from their constituents and the press about what we have done. And doing this resolution in such a manner that joins both sides, I think is an important thing. And I urge my fellow aldermen to support the amendment. Thank you.
Any more discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Roll call vote. Madam Secretary, please.
Alderman Anderson? Alderman Beatty? Yes. Alderman Fortunati?
Yes.
Alderman Gaynor? No. Alderman Gurman?
No.
Alderman Genentasio? No. Alderman Golden? Yes. Alderman Grant? No. Alderman Hardeman? Yes. Alderman Smith? Yes. Alderman Sutton?
Yes.
Alderman Tranquilli? No. Alderman Vecchiarelli?
Yes.
Alderman Vitro?
Yes.
Alderman Vitale?
No.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 noes.
6 noes, 9 yeses. The amendment passes.
Mr.
On the
Chairman?
original motion.
Mr. Chairman, if we can take a quick recess, it would be greatly appreciated.
Let's
this
make
morning.
it quick. We've
Okay.
already had enough recesses tonight.
Understood. Thank you.
back off for recess. We're taking a vote on the main amended motion. All in favor? This is the original motion. The original motion, amended motion. All in favor? I'm sorry. Aye. Opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Alderman Vecchiarelli, agenda item number 10, moving on to budget memo transfers.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the budget memo transfer number 9, number 10, funds 10 and 12 FY19.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Open under agenda item 11, refunds, I'm sorry, agenda item number 11A, Alderman Vecchiarelli.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the refunds in the amount of $300,417.03.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Agenda item number 12, reports of standing committees. Is there any reports of any standing committees? Alderman Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Ordinance Committee met earlier this evening to consider an ordinance establishing Chapter 10, Health and Sanitation, Article 3, Tobacco Products, Sections 10 through 12 through 10-28 of the Milford Code of Ordinances. This is an ordinance increasing the age for the purchase of tobacco and tobacco products from 18 to 21, and it was voted unanimously for a favorable recommendation to this board. I would like to make that as a motion, Mr. Chairman.
I second the motion.
The motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
This is on the ordinance, right?
Yes. Alderman Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wanted to express how proud I was to hear the testimony that was presented by Dr. Katea, Fran Thompson, principal of Jonathan Law, student at Jonathan Law, the leadership of Bethel, Bridges. Congratulations to Milford Prevention Council for their hard work on bringing us together, Alderman Vitale. Certainly, I'm in strong support, and I thought that there were sections of the ordinance that should be read for the record that really stand out, at least they do to me. It says that there was an increase in adolescent vaping from 2017 to 2018, and the largest adolescent substance use recorded in 43 years. That's a stunning figure. The e-cigarette aerosol that users breathe from the device and exhale can contain harmful and potentially harmful substances, including nicotine, which we know, ultrafine particles that can be inhaled deep into the lungs, flavoring, which we've heard of, such as diacetyl, a chemical that is linked to a serious lung disease, volatile organic compounds, cancer-causing chemicals, heavy metals such as nickel, tin, lead, chromium, and cadmium, thank you, cadmium, thank you, and ethanol. The ordinance also includes remedies, and I wanted to put the remedies onto the record, that in the event that there is a vendor who sells or has a question about the age of someone that they would be selling a product to, every retailer within Milford is obligated to put up signage in their shop, and that there would be a $50 fine for the first offense after a written warning, a $100 for a second offense within 2 years of the first violation, $250 for each subsequent offense thereafter within 2 years of the latest violation. Enforcement falls within the jurisdiction of the Milford Police Department. Sale violations. Any retailer who violates the sale restriction by selling to a person under the age of 21 shall first be issued a written warning. Once a written warning has been issued, then subsequent violations shall result in fines as follows: $100 for the first offense after the written warning, $250 for a second offense within 2 years. Violations of this ordinance, which occur more than 2 years after a prior violation, shall be considered a first offense if there has been no violation of this ordinance during the intervening time period. And under Connecticut state statutes, there may be civil penalties that are rendered. This is a very strong ordinance. I'm happy to support it strongly. I also wanted to mention the fact that there were parents in our area in the 5th District, such as Mr. Van Show, one of the parents of a foreign high school student who strongly supports it. I'm happy to go on record in support of it as well. Thank you for bringing it to us. And thank you, Jonathan Burcham, our city attorney, for working on this language. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Alderman Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I too want to reiterate Alderman Anderson's recognition and appreciation to Alderman Vitale for all that he's done to bring this ordinance to us, and all of his tireless work, both as liaison from this board and also for all his work with Milford Prevention Council. It's been a great asset, a great contribution to this city, and I applaud him for it, as Alderman Giannatasio did earlier during our ordinance committee, and I did want to thank him publicly for all the hard work he's done. I just have and also to our city attorney, I have a quick question regarding the protocols of the state statute, and I just want to understand, since the state will probably take this up, this is a situation where we just cannot have something less stringent than what the state would allow. Right now, you can buy tobacco products throughout the state at 18. Right now, this would supersede that, and you would need to be 21. If the state passes, or this General Assembly and the governor approve a bill that would change the age to 20, we're okay. We would still be more stringent, but if Hartford decides to change the legal age to buy tobacco products to 65, then we would have to adjust our ordinance accordingly. Is that correct?
Yeah. 65? Yeah.
Thank you. And thank you for your brevity on that too, Mr. City Attorney.
Alderman Vitale.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm overwhelmed by the support that we had, and thank you, Alderman Anderson and Alderman Smith, for recognizing. I know we in education know the harm, and those who work in the health field know the harm that the smoking does to our youth. And as you said, to read a lot of this could be read into the minutes, but just to know that all of Section 1022, findings of fact and purpose, every one of them is spot on. And I need to thank John, who, again, I feel, yes, Tony was a student of mine. Yes, John was a student of mine. Yes, Morgan was a student of mine. So we go through a litany of years, and Justin, also a student of mine. So, you know, it's really heavy here that we talk in vain, and we talk to the point where we want to protect and help kids. And I think this is a no-brainer. And just to, I guess, Alderman Smith's point, just in reading what I had read into the record during the ordinance committee, local governments are free to enact ordinances to better protect their kids from addiction. And that's all that has to be said. And, you know, I know 3 of us on this board are also board members of Bridges Healthcare. And John Dixon, who was the CEO, came and spoke to those points. And just to let you know that there are 7 states who have voted up to the affirmative to raise the age to 21. There are also 440 localities within the United States that have voted to raise the age to 21. There are also 6 municipalities in the state of Connecticut who have voted to raise the age to 21, and we would be the 7th. So that's an important piece, and that's an important message to send to Hartford. You know, it's not over until it's over. We all say that's coming up, and they're going to be voting on it, and yada, yada, yada. But to be proactive and have a good feeling about this ordinance and be proactive in getting behind all of this before the state even really decides to vote on it is extremely important. My main concern, you know, and as I said, I testified, went up to Hartford on the legalization of marijuana. My main concern is that these Juuls and these e-cigarettes have reservoirs, and they're going to be putting THC in it. And, you know, the THC that you knew 20, 30 years ago, it's not the same THC you're seeing today. 20, 30, 40 years ago was 5 to 10%. Today it's 20 to 30% stronger. So, you know, these kids, you know, it's going to be, we're helping them. We try to help them, and we do the best we can to help kids and help parents make decisions. And, you know, they're just those law-abiding kids that are not going to do it because it's the law. It's the law. So thank you for your support. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Alderman Vecchiarelli.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Believe it or not, this ordinance was a difficult one for me. I thought that maybe instead of an ordinance, we should have a resolution to send up to support this to the state where we can get everybody on board and make it so that everybody in the state here, you got to be 21. It's kind of like our single stream plastic bags. Can't really just do that in Milford, because if we just do it in Milford, these stores that sell these groceries are going to suffer because the people will just go to the store that they can get the plastic bags from. And they've asked us, we really support this, but let's do it at a state level. So again, you know, with this here, what we're going to be doing by doing this is our businesses here in Milford that, you know, depend on the people coming in and buying their goods and probably cigarettes. The people that are in this age group, they're not going to be buying them in Milford. They're going to go to a surrounding town. But I really have to look at the value of this ordinance. And I am one of the biggest supporters of trying to keep our youths from smoking. And I've seen, you know, the damage that smoking does. I don't have to go into it, but it's terrible. So, you know, I look at this and I say, you know, these aren't kids. These are 18, 19, 20-year-old people. They're not children. They're basically out of school, maybe, unless they're in college. You know, should we allow them the right to whether they want to smoke or not? Well, that's debatable, and I certainly think that they're adults at that point in their life. However, as hard as this really was for me, I want to support this ordinance. And I'm sorry if some of the businesses are going to take a little bit of a hit because they can't sell those cigarettes to those 18 and 19 and 20-year-olds that they were able to legally sell before to. And they're going to have to go out of town and buy them somewhere else because you can't buy them in Milford. But I want to let you know that I do feel proud that Milford has this stance where they're not going to sell the cigarettes. You got to be 21. I'm sure I'm going to meet a lot of my constituents that are not going to be happy, but the idea is that they can still buy the cigarettes. We haven't forbidden them in the state from buying them. You can't buy them here. But these people that are addicted to them right now, they're probably going to go and buy them unless they make a real effort to quit smoking. They're going to buy them in another city. But the ones that we might save are the younger people, and also these ones that are the newly 18, 19, and 20-year-olds. If we could just save a few of them from getting into the smoking of these products that are going to kill them or seriously hurt them, I don't think a lot of them live a long life, and if they do, this certainly affects them. I have to err in that way. But I do want you to know that this was not an easy decision for me, for our businesses, and for the adults that are being told now that you can't buy them here. But the idea is that we may prevent more people from smoking beginning and maybe encourage some to stop. And I do believe that eventually the state will catch up with us and make it a statewide mandate that you'll have to be 21. And also, they will be able to still smoke. We're not keeping them from smoking. We're just not giving them the poison here in Milford. So with that said, I want you to know that I will support this, but it wasn't easy, but I think that in the long run, it really is the best thing to do for the people that live here on these ages and maybe the younger ones that can maybe benefit from it too. Thank you. I'm sorry it's so long-winded, but it was a tough one for me.
Any more discussion on the motion? Alderman Gurman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I won't be as long-winded as Alderman Vecchiarelli. So I am strongly in favor of this ordinance for many reasons, but a lot of testimony earlier I don't need to have to repeat. But my concern is health insurance costs, as everybody's concerned with that, and the cost of the rising cost of health insurance. I don't call it health insurance, I call it sick insurance, because you don't go to the doctor when you're healthy, you go to the doctor when you're sick. So I think this is a nice way for our small town of Milford to show that we do care about prevention, and prevention is nothing that we really stress at any level, and I think that's a huge key to keep health insurance costs down. Unfortunately, we just don't focus on that for many monetary reasons. So I am hugely in favor of this, and I strongly support Alderman Vitale's ordinance here. Thank you.
Alderman Beatty.
I promise I won't keep my remarks beyond the point of productive discussion, but I would like to weigh in. I think this is a very important, very significant, very necessary ordinance that we've done. But now we're governing, and I guess I struggled with it too. Of course, I was for it in concept. Alderman Vitale mentioned we discussed it on bridges and the Department of Health and elsewhere. But I had some concerns about follow-through. I hope that we follow through and that not this year, but next year we look at the impact. Were we successful? Because all of the research says that, in fact, the research has moved away from smoking cessation to smoking prevention. And it is an addiction. Besides that, we didn't talk too much about that tonight. So if you can delay the first exposure to an addictive product, regardless of how poisonous it is, that's another area, you may cut off and interfere, abort the long-term use. But I would like to make sure that we give give this some attention. Does it have the intended good that we intended? Everybody at this table, Democrat or Republican, cares about the kids in our town. Most of us spend our life child rearing. Most of us are parents. And this is a national movement. Thank you, Ray Vitale. You've been wonderful at this. But it harnesses on a national movement to make access to tobacco the same age as access to alcohol. It didn't begin in Connecticut or elsewhere. It's part of the public health movement. And the people that I talk to, and I have a vested interest, I am a professor emeritus of public health from the State University. I talk to my colleagues, and they would like to see us do a little, put a little money where our mouth is and see, did it work? Did it stop smoking? Look 3 years down the road. Did it hit one high school more than the other? Are there more incidents of selling it near particular areas? And just follow it through. So when that comes around, I hope that everybody at the table who felt so strongly that this is so important will also open their eyes at budget time to not just think of austerity, but think of funding how we might make this a big success.
Any more discussion? Alderman Fortunati.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. I want to thank Alderman Vitale for being the driving force behind this. I think it's critical that our city do this, and I know you've something close to your heart and working with you on bridges. I'm really, really grateful for your efforts in moving this forward. I fully support it. The other thing I wanted to say on the record was I wanted to thank the student Morgan Taylor, who came here tonight. In the copy of the ordinance that we have before us, we have findings of fact and purpose, but what she did was she added a perspective that's not on here, and that's how this epidemic affects her daily life as a student in high school. And that's something that I don't think many of us would have known about. And I found it very compelling, and I wanted to thank her I think she said she was a junior, for taking the time and coming to speak to us tonight and sharing that with us. So that was really critical. But thanks again, Ray.
Alderman Grant.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll keep this very quick because my fellow alders have done an excellent job in summarizing this, and the people that came up and provided testimony gave all of the facts of why this should be supported. And the really important thing to really take away from it is we are working to prevent children from starting to smoke, and we are just making it more difficult for Milford children to start vaping, which is becoming a very big issue. It is becoming an epidemic because younger children know that smoking is bad for them. They understand that cigarettes is something that they shouldn't have, but vaping doesn't have that stigma yet. And this ordinance will actually help prevent that for the people in Milford. So I want to thank you, Alder Vitale, because this is an amazing thing for our city.
Any more discussion? Alderman Vitale.
It'll be very quick, Mr. Chair. Thank you. Just to Alderman Beatty's point, yeah, there should be follow-up. There should be some kind of data collected. I know in the audience we have Joan Cuccinello, who is our chair of the board of the Health Commission, and maybe that could be one of the kinds of things that could be brought up to the next health board meeting, and maybe we can get things rolling through the health department and get some data going from the high schools and see where we are next year and how it's improved. So thank you for that idea. And yes, Morgan was authentic, and we have to look at authenticity when we talk about anything that we take on as a political group. Thank you.
Any more discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Alderman Smith. 12B.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Ordinance Committee met earlier this evening to consider an ordinance amending Chapter 14, Motor Vehicles and Traffic, Article 2, Stopping and Standing and Parking, Division 1, generally Section 14-13 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Milford, beach and other restricted parking areas, as covered earlier, this is an ordinance that will delineate some of the parking arrangements at the Milford beaches, particularly Walnut Beach and Gulf Beach. It also increases the parking fee at those beaches from $15 to $20. It was taken up and it was unanimously and favorably recommended to this board, and I would like to present that, Mr. Chairman, as a motion.
I second the motion.
A motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Agenda item number 13, are there any reports from any special committees? Seeing none, we'll open under item number 14. The next item on the agenda is executive session. I will entertain a motion to go into executive session to discuss 14A, consideration of settlement of Peter Dreyer versus City of Milford regarding 105 Merwin Avenue, and 14B, consideration of collective bargaining agreement between the City of Milford and the Registered Professional Nurses Association of Milford. Joining us in executive session for...
Mr. Chairman? Mr.
Yes.
Chairman, before you announce who's joining us in an executive session, there has been some changes. Our City Assessor, Jen Thomas, will not be joining us tonight. Instead, for 14A, it will be our City Attorney, Jonathan Burcham. For 14B, our City Attorney, Jonathan Burcham, our HR Director, Tanya Barnes, and our Assistant City Attorney, Deborah Kelly, and I will be joining you for both as well. So with that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Joining us in executive session for 14A will be the Mayor, Ben Blake, City Attorney, John Burcham, and Assistant City Attorney, Deborah Kelly. For item 14B will be the Mayor, Ben Blake, City Attorney, and HR Director, Tanya Barnes, and Assistant City Attorney, Deborah Kelly. Is there a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion is made and seconded to go to executive session. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're in executive session. We're back from executive session. Alderman Vaccarelli.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve settlement of Peter Dreyer et al. Versus City of Milford in regards to 105 Merwin Ave, per the recommendation of the city attorney as discussed in executive session.
A motion has been made and second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Alderman Vaccarelli, 14B.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve collective bargaining agreement between the City of Milford and the Registered Professional Nurses Association of Milford as recommended by the City Attorney, Assistant City Attorney, and the Human Resource Director as discussed in executive session.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion is made and seconded to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Just a reminder, everybody comes back here Thursday at 7 o'clock. Thank you.